The Marvel Cinematic Universe used to be something special. Every new release there was hype and nobody truly knew what was going to happen next. It was amazing. If you look back at 2017 to 2018, it's just back-to-back bangers. Even with all its faults, you can't really say you hated the Infinity Saga. It was our generation's Star Wars. But then, it all ended. And all good things come to an end, so that's fine. Endgame was a very satisfying way to end the saga. Just one small problem arose. Marvel kept going. Don't get me wrong, I understand why Marvel kept going. Of course the fans wouldn't have been happy. But I still think to this day that ending the story at Endgame may have been the better course of action. I'm still of the opinion that Captain Marvel should not have been included in Endgame, considering she really had no relevance to the saga as a whole. She shouldn't have been introduced so late.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
The audience shouldn't be expected to care about a character who had just a couple of months prior made her debut in a really bad movie. It felt like Marvel rushed her in and forgot to give her a personality. But anyways, I digress. After Endgame was Far From Home, which was a good movie but it's kind of been forgotten about for some reason. After that, however, we finally got a moment to breathe. No Marvel content for a whole year, and I barely noticed. I mean, to be fair, we did have the whole COVID stuff to think about instead. Once 2020 passed, the MCU returned. Naturally, you would think we would return with some high quality content. Well, my friends, I regret to inform you that reality is often disappointing. We started off phase 4 with WandaVision. WandaVision was unique, so I guess you can give it points for that. The main issue with the show was probably the stuff happening outside the town. Jane's annoying friend from the old crappy Thor movies kept showing up. Agatha, in my opinion, didn't even need to be in the show at all. What even was her purpose? I mean, the show already had a villain. You can probably deduct that I'm absolutely ecstatic that she'd be getting her own show. The worst effect this show had on pop culture was that it started a Wanda cult. And if you ever go on Twitter, you'll see what I mean. WandaVision was the beginning of a new era, where the average film goer requires Disney Plus subscription to know what the hell is going on. Disney started pumping show after show out, and the problem with this is that most of them are mid. After WandaVision came The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This was probably one of the worst shows in my opinion, which was disappointing because I had my expectations fairly high at the time. We ended up getting a story about a group of terrorists who want to make the world return to the era after the snap and before the blip. Now this would be fine if we hadn't literally been shown how horrible life was after the snap in Endgame. I forget her name, but the main villain was definitely the worst issue with the show. She preaches love and unity throughout the world, meanwhile she's out there killing innocent people. So what they were trying to do there is kind of confusing to me. I don't really understand it. Also, I guess I should mention the return of Zemo. Zemo was made into a meme, and that would be fine if it didn't completely contrast his character arc in Civil War. He was a compelling and bitter villain in Civil War who had understandable motives for his actions. In this show, he's just a joke. And I did like some aspects of the show, but overall the plot was quite weak. After that, we got Loki. Now, some people absolutely love Loki. Personally, I think it's kind of mid. I feel like people love it mostly just because of Loki's character, who was a fan favourite throughout the Infinity Saga. I felt like Loki did have some filler episodes, and the show also made Loki lame, and that's probably my biggest problem with the show. And I get that he's obviously not going to be the same as Avengers 1 Loki after seeing his eventual fate. However, I feel like they just made him dumb. He was constantly belittled and sidelined throughout the entire show, and the God of Mischief, as they call him, got up to absolutely no mischief throughout the entire show. So I was disappointed by the show once again. Now after that was the What If show, but I don't think I'm going to even talk about it because it's kind of hard to critique it since it was pretty much just animators doing what they wanted. And I have really no problem with that. Another show I was quite hyped about was Hawkeye, and again, I was very disappointed. I had watched Daredevil before Hawkeye, and if you watch Daredevil, you will notice how they made Wilson Fisk into a joke. I know he's coming back, but I'm still mad about that he managed to do such a bad job bringing him back. And as for the show as a whole, the show was barely about Hawkeye at all. Moving on, we have Moon Knight, and it's kind of mid, and then the most recent show was Miss Marvel. Again, kind of mid. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10. I don't think I've even finished it, but so far, I mean, it's alright. The side characters are pretty good, and yeah, I'd say it's maybe a solid 6 out of 10. Now we'll move on to the movies, and this video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to speed around these ones. Black Widow. It did not need to exist, it belonged in phase 1, and Taskmaster was a pretty awful villain. Shang-Chi was actually pretty good. Eternals, hilariously terrible, reminds me of a DC Extended Universe movie. Spider-Man No Way Home was fantastic. Oh no, this doesn't fit my agenda. Multiverse of Madness was really messy and I dislike Wanda. I'm sorry Wanda fans. Thor Love and Thunder was hilariously awful. And that's my rundown on all phase 4 movies currently out. I will say that I am looking forward to see what they do with Wakanda Forever. The movie was delayed a million times and I think everybody believed that it would be a failure. But the trailer for it does look great, so I really hope they don't pull a Age of Ultron on us with a good trailer and bad movie. As for the future of the MCU, well, I can't say it looks bright. I'll only be watching She-Hulk for Daredevil. I'm not excited for anything Marvel related in the future except maybe Guardians 3 and Daredevil. That's a long time away, and knowing Disney, they'll probably butcher it. Disney recently announced that there will be 2 Avengers movies in 1 year, and I already know this is an awful idea because the hype simply won't be the same. But anyways, this video was really just me wanting to voice my dissatisfaction at the current state of Marvel. There's just a lot of average content being produced, and I hate to say it because I don't want to be that type of guy, but Marvel just isn't the way it used to be.